But for more on this, we're now joined by Seth Frantzman, who's a journalist with the Jerusalem Post. Good to speak to you, Seth. So what is the reason behind this bill?
Well, I think for the right-wing parties that support it, they basically think that many times the journalists somehow contribute to some of the provocations that Israeli soldiers face. So their idea is that if you can restrict some of the filming or the way in which journalists are sometimes almost part of the conflict because they're between the soldiers and people throwing stones or what have you, that therefore it would give the tools to the police and military to arrest them. I think that's the logic behind it. But I also would point out the bill has only barely passed, I think, the last committee it was in, and I think the chances that it will actually pass all the way and then stand up to a test by the courts, I would say is almost nil or zero chance.
But if it does, would this bill help to diffuse tensions between sides, or would it cause new problems?
No, I mean, I think the idea that you would have a law that would restrict totally the filming of soldiers or police is insane or ridiculous. I think what you have existing laws that mean a journalist, for instance, interfering in the police work or interfering when soldiers are doing some sort of secret or sensitive operations. I'm sure you already have existing laws that would do that. And I would think that many countries have laws that can restrict to some extent filming. So I just think probably in the end of the day, unless the wording on this bill is changed a lot in its current form, I think the chances of it passing and actually the kind of the destructive nature of it in terms of restricting the freedom of the press is highly problematic.
How legitimate and justified to criminalize filming or publishing footage of Israeli soldiers?
Well, I don't think it is legitimate to criminalize that at all. I think in general, maybe there is a legitimate concern if journalists or people who don't have press credentials are seen to be interfering somehow, then I think then security forces or the police probably do have a legitimate concern. And in many cases, I mean, I've spent, I think, 7 or 8 years covering the Israel-Palestinian conflict. There's many cases where the existing law in terms of the police and the army do restrict where journalists are and sometimes do detain them, or as we're seeing in some of the videos, you can see that sometimes journalists find themselves in the middle of these riots. So I think that's already basically happening.
Well, many thanks for that there, Seth Frantzman.